I'm Maddie.
I'm Amber. And we're Witches Talking Tarot.
We are the weirdos in this one.
Like a song, like a sailor snubble. Flip the switch and let the cauldron bubble. Sam.
Wow. Hey everybody, I'm Amber.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're Witches Talking Tarot. And today we're going to continue to enjoy our adventures through spooky season with a little hometown spook of our own. The Joplin Spooklight, also known as the Hornet Spooklight, also probably actually in Oklahoma, but visible from the area in which, Maddie doesn't live in Joplin, but, the area in which where your favorite witches live, so to speak. So that's fun. We thought this would be a fun one. And it's a fun little one.
It's a fun little one. This
little
one.
one.
Little episode. This episode may
Little
be a
episode.
little.
It's going to be a little guy.
I thought there would be more.
Size
to it.
doesn't matter.
It does.
No, it does.
Rude. I'm sorry.
To each their own. I apologize. Size matters to some of us, but not all of us. And look, it worked for the spook light because we thought it was going to be bigger.
What a disappointment.
I love how we're doing a spicy.
I know
fish
that's
talk
I'm like
live
already
later.
in the vibe.
Yep,
Um,
it works. It
so
works.
anyway, the spook light is a phenomenon.
Mhm.
That is located in Midwest Missouri near Joplin. I was reading
Yeah.
about Neosho. Like it's
It's-
like
Well,
in
and like
that-
there's an article in the Joplin Globe that actually kind of gives you directions how to go. It's like down somewhere between Joplin and like the casino, down
Mhm.
like the country roads back
Yeah.
that way.
I had read that
'Cause it's like in Oklahoma, but like the spook light exists in Oklahoma, but it's visible from
Right.
Joplin and a very small town called Hornet, which
Mhm.
I was not aware of
So
until this research.
it is a light phenomenon,
A bright orange orb.
and it just shows up usually after 11 p.m.
I read
Yeah.
between 10 and like 2 a.m.
Yeah, so
like in that, not the wee hours of the morning, but like the middle of the night.
the middle of the night, and it's just there. And from what I
And it
knew of
floats,
the
it'll move.
story,
It moves and it kind of bobs along.
right? And from what I know, or what I knew of the story before I did research, because we'll talk about the research that we did, was that no one knew how it was a thing. And some people say they still don't know, and then some people say, "No, we got this figured out." You know what I mean? I don't know what I
Yeah.
believe, because I
Well-
remember we talked about it in school because it
Yeah.
is a local thing.
Right.
And in school they discussed it could be like gas,
Right.
like a
That's one of the
gas
theories.
type
Because like
thing.
I guess Will-o'-the-Wisp is which we're later going to be doing an episode about, probably come springtime. We'll do
Right,
our
right.
bioluminescence and Will-o'-the-Wisp thing. But apparently during this, I found that it's when mass vegetation in
Mhm.
like maybe swampy area
Uh-huh.
is decomposing, it
Uh-huh.
releases a gas
Oh,
that emits light.
mhm.
But also I think that's a green gas. Not
I don't
orange.
know. See, and there's also a theory that it's just headlights that are reflecting off of something. If you watch long enough, it'll split into two because it's headlights.
But folklorically, it is said to have been reported since the Trail of Tears.
right, so before cars.
headlights.
Yes, before headlights. Now, when I did my research, some of them said, "Oh, well, there's no documentation of that," and then some of them said, "Oh, no, there is documentation of it being."
And some little fucking asshole named like Trevor went through the
What kind of name
Spooklight
is Trevor?
Wikipedia page and was like, "This is all fake." Like he is all up
Okay,
in the
I
edit.
did he say
And
my
he-
name is Trevor? Because I read the Wikipedia page and it was like, this is fake, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna look at a different fucking
Right, like yeah, it like the whole thing has been like he has changed all the entries, like, because I was curious. I was like,
Right.
this is counter to everything else I've read, because I read a bunch of newspaper articles
Mhm.
before I read the Wikipedia, and I read, shout out to local magazine, the Joplin Toad. They actually did a whole story about the spook light as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
And their story is really interesting. And they put a lot of like people throughout the years encounters with like along in their
Well, and there's a lot of
article.
like we've
But
talked.
like, fuck the guy, because he just went through, like, I looked and it's like this name over and over again for editing the different sections on that Wikipedia page. So like
God, what
he
an
just like, he's like, I do not believe any, because like before I did the research, and again, guys, I may have timeline shifted since I first moved to the area, because I swear to God, when I was told about the Joplin Spooklight, I was told it's called the Joplin Spooklights, and there were like 5 of them
in the same
Excuse
general
me.
area.
Yeah, all together, like floating together, and that they were different colored. Like, this is what I distinctly remembered when I was like, hey, let's do an episode on Joplin Spooklights. Like, because I've always called it the Joplin Spooklights with an S at the end. And then I'm doing the research and it's one orange globe. And I'm like, I could have remembered wrong. There might be. If you are out there listening, please comment if you know about some other spook lights where there's like 5 to 7 of them and they're different colored, including brown and blue. Because maybe I'm just like mixing up, but I really didn't. Timeline shift absolutely happened. But yeah, that was all I knew about it, that I wanted to go see it and that it existed in that manner before, we did the research, and it's very different doing the research.
Well, it is. It's one of those things like the Winchester house where you're like, yes, this is fucked up. And then you do the research. It's like, oh, sweet. Or, oh, maybe it's not
no, I totally think it's I personally believe it is a spectral orb of light.
Which brings us to the mythology that surrounds the spook light. Now, there's a bunch of different stories. There's one, it's 2 Native American lovers.
I knew you were going to say this one.
I love that
first.
one. And go ahead.
I was going to say, I like the one that surprised me, but I like it, is that it is a Native American Osage chief who was beheaded. So I don't like that part, but it's him looking for his head.
Yeah.
And I think that goes really well with the last episode of Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting them to align that way, but that's why I like that piece of folklore.
There's also one that's like, it's a Native American woman who killed her children and she's looking for her children. I was like, it's a fucking woman in white.
Right.
Woman in white.
And then there's another one where it's a miner
Yeah.
who his whole family was slaughtered by Native Americans. Again, we live in Native American country, guys.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Like,
I mean,
so,
and
like,
like you
there's,
said, this is
you
in
know, this is an
Oklahoma.
old, right.
Right, just
Yeah.
there in Oklahoma.
And this is an old tale. Like the first written accounts mention that the first verbal accounts existed during the Trail of Tears. So I think that's why there's a whole lot of
this is a
it's
native
all, yeah,
country.
Right. And so it's a man, he's looking for his dead children and wife. And and the light is him looking for them. I do prefer the headless horseman, or not headless horseman, but headless chief version of that. It's a light looking for, like
Truthfully, with the spook light,
especially like also versus the woman and her kids. Like still, like the least bad to me is he's just looking for his head.
One, the lovers looking for each other. That's
that it is
sad though.
Well, I always like, because look, one of my favorite parts of Overboard is when
you were gonna say that. And she
talking
jumps into the
about-
water.
and the waves of them coming together.
Yes. Oh,
And
my
that is
God.
exactly what I thought about when I read that part,
Yes,
like
I
that
do
story
love that.
for the spook light. And I'm like, I do love that. But like, I just that is beautiful, and it's like not murdery, but the spook light, it's called spook light. But also the orange orb, like because I was curious. So I looked up, because I know nothing about like orbs, and apparently there's like a color graph. Like orange orbs are a beneficial spirit.
Oh.
So again, I could see it being like a noble chief who's looking for his head. So he's the noble headless horseman. without maybe he had a horse. Who knows?
Well, so the thing is with the spook light is a lot of people tried to capitalize off of this. I mean, there was a museum. I don't think there is anymore, but there was.
Right, but like
people tried to get tourists to come in, and that's why I think a lot of people became really like.
Well,
'cause
and
they're
so
like, oh,
the
this is
museum wasn't capitalistic. The
Uh-huh.
museum was a guy who loved the spook
Mhm.
light, and he didn't want the lore to die away as we stopped being like a mining community
Mhm.
and started being, you know, a more modern community. So that's why he started the hotel, or
Mhm.
not hotel, the museum.
Right.
But then the other local
Yeah, they came
businesses
in.
said, "Oh, look, this is something we can capitalize."
They're like, it's our Roswell. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna just have spook lights everywhere, aliens everywhere.
Yeah.
So mine,
And like I think like that's sad, but at the same time, like I don't think it's necessary. Like if you look at it from a capitalistic standpoint, definitely sad. But if you look at it from a standpoint of like the awareness piece, I love that because when it's your local legend that you don't let die out, because it was one of the first things I learned about this area. Sorry,
no, that's
when
right.
I moved here,
Mhm.
like because I've only lived here for like, well, I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else, and it's been 16 years now, I think. And I didn't learn about it right away.
Oh my God, Rufus.
I know, Rufus.
Is he
Stop.
sneezing?
No, he's got like a snot. Like he's like talking a little, you know,
Ew.
dog
Big
version.
dogs.
Yeah.
Big dogs.
He has allergies. He and Shelby both. Like Shelby also had allergies. She did that a lot because she'd have like snot, like way back. Like their snouts are like longer, so it's like snot way back here.
Oh, God.
But anyway, like when I started working in a place that had people in it, spook light was one of the first things I learned about. That and the job. They killed people. The Bonnie and Clyde house.
I love the. Oh,
I've never been there.
I've never been to the house. I would love to go. We should go
That
because
would be cool.
I love me some Bonnie and Clyde.
I do love me some Bonnie and Clyde lore, which is kind of crazy if you think about it.
I like the
Two of
lore,
the
not the
main-
real people.
Right.
Yeah.
Two of the main legends in this area have to do with like lovers. If you look at the spook light from the Native American lovers aspect, that's kind of interesting, honestly, because that is like that's the local legends that I learned about when I lived here or when I moved here, and I just think it's great for local folklore to stay alive. You know.
Now, one of the things that what the hell was I thinking? I got distracted because I was thinking of that Bonnie and Clyde movie on Lifetime that they did. That was
Well, it
superb.
sounded like we were kind of going where like it's a bad thing from the capitalism standpoint.
It is. Well, I think it also just people assumed, or they just took something and they wanted to make it a tourist trap. So then you're like, oh, that's just a tourist trap. So my personal theory and thoughts on spook light, just while we're there, I think I fall more in line with it possibly being a gas, but let me explain. I still think that's spiritual because it's a natural gas phenomenon. And you know what? That could be an air spirit. That could be a forest spirit. It could absolutely have some sort of spiritual like vibes but I mean, and I could see it as a way that you've got the science behind it. Oh, this is just gas or whatever, but that's natural. That's something that happens naturally that has its own spirit attached to it. I hope I'm making sense.
No, I get where you're coming from, and I mean we do live in a mining area, or where we live was heavily mined.
We're on a giant fucking hole.
Yeah,
my house is on a giant fucking hole. Like we could follow it.
Yeah, like we're in a mining area. We're also off of a fault line, right?
Oh God!
Because I mean, we've talked before about how like I felt that earthquake like a couple months before the end of season 3. I guess I don't remember when the earthquake was, but like I can feel them. Like the earth moved under my ass because I was sitting down, not standing up. If you know that song, earth moves under my feet.
Oh no!
Anyway, I love that song. But like, I love that it's a local legend. I love local lore. I like that the local papers don't let it die either. Like
Mhm.
the Joplin Toad, which is a pretty recent magazine. Like I don't know how long they've been in publication, but like I've only been aware of the Joplin Toad for like a couple of years now. But like the Joplin Globe, the Kansas City Sun,
Mhm.
they've all done stories about it to kind of keep that spook light energy alive. And there's a lot of sightings of it.
Well, there was a
people see
time.
them.
Also, I don't know if you know this, or it didn't really pop up on my research, but I just know from living here, there was a time where they were discouraging people to go out there, and where they were having police out there to make sure people didn't go out there because people are fucking shitty and they were vandalizing and they were throwing their trash out. And I think they've got that kind of under control right
Yeah.
now.
Like the road is not wide enough to park on, and they used to kind of ignore people
Mhm.
parking out there because it's referred to as the Devil's Promenade, also Devil's Hollow, and the Witch's Hollow, which I thought was great, even though there's only one folklore story that goes along with it. Because one thing that I read is, it's called the Devil's Promenade and the Devil's Hollow because they believe it's Satan walking out there trying
Oh,
to
good
lure
fucking
in
God.
lost people with his light.
We live with the Bible Belt.
Yes,
Like,
exactly. Right? That's why it's
I
like,
kicked that under
but I-
there. I hope that's okay.
No,
I
that's
kept
fine.
stepping on it.
but I assume that's why it's called the Devil's Promenade and Devil's Hollow, and of course Witch's Hollow because of. Anyway, but all these things. Anyway, the point was it's on a fault line and we are in mining area, so it could be escaped gas. However, the reason that they don't say it is escaped gas is because what would ignite it to make it glow?
Right. Which
You
is where
know?
I think like there's, even if it is escaped gas, to me it's still spiritual. It's a natural phenomenon.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I think it is I don't want to say a spirit. Like, I
Mhm.
don't think any of the folklore is what that light is.
Mhm.
I think that
Those were made up
is
stories, very
right
obviously
to
made up stories.
explain the light away. Yeah. And I think the light is just, it is, because of the fact that apparently somebody has done research and orange glowing orange glowing orbs are beneficial spirits. I would definitely say that it is some kind of beneficial entity. However, it's not just a light. It has some kind of substance because I was reading through all the accounts in the Joplin Toad article that I was reading, and like a handful of people, at least 5 or 6 people, experience like they're driving in the car and the orb of light's coming towards them and they feel it bounce on the roof of their
I've
car.
heard that before. I've
Yeah.
also heard that sometimes you can drive and it'll go right into the car, like
No.
right beside you.
Okay, I did see ones where it's like next to the car but not inside the car,
Mhm.
unless maybe I just misunderstood what I was reading and they meant it like was beside
It like
them
just
in the
went
car.
through, like straight
Yeah.
through.
Maybe I misunderstood the way I was reading it. I'm not sure, but like it's like it has it's a presence. It's not just a light.
Mhm.
It's when it wants to, at least it has actual physical substance to be
Mhm.
able to bang on the hoods and roofs of people's cars. Now, not enough substance where anybody said like it cracked their windshield.
Right, exactly.
And obviously, if people have experienced it traveling through the substance of their vehicle to be inside next to them, then, it can choose to have no substance whatsoever and be completely ethereal.
Mhm.
So, like, I feel like it's a conscientious entity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I truly believe that it is an actual entity, obviously some kind of forest spirit, or maybe the spirit of something that passed away in that spot of land or in that perimeter of land. I don't think it's like haunted in any negative way. Although, my husband's car's been acting up and I did really want him to take me out to the spook light last night. And I thought about taking his car because we need to drive it and see if it'll act up again because the mechanics couldn't get the problem to reoccur. But I was like, even though I think this is a beneficial thing, I don't want to take that car out there late at night
You get stuck.
and have that spook light come up and something with the frequency of the spook light combined with whatever's wrong with my car or my husband's car, and it like stops on us out in the middle of the night.
God,
That would suck balls.
that would suck.
That would suck. I would be pissed. I would be so pissed. And I'm not walking home from there either.
No, fuck that.
No, fuck that. That's way too far from where.
That's too wrong turny.
Yeah, that too. That
Look,
too.
we're in the boondocks of the Southwest Missouri and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
There, I'm sure there's some inbred
Mm.
freaks in the forest. Not to be like a shitty person, but
I hope
crackheads
not.
are
That
very
movie
real.
scared the shit out of
maybe
me.
not inbred weirdos, but crackheads for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Crack meth heads be like that.
Yeah,
And
oh my
Oh my
God.
god. What did I just tell you about a meth head? the
oh
other
my
day?
God, I don't know. Okay, so I just watched this before we get off here because there's not much more to say.
Right?
about
I'm
this
like,
Spooklight.
I can't think of it.
I just watched this video. Oh my God, I gotta stop watching true crime. They keep popping up and I keep watching and more are popping up. But like this guy was drinking with his friends and he was like at the bar and then his friend dropped him off. You know what I'm about to say? Quote unquote drops him off at a gas station because he was too drunk to drive home. Yeah, why the fuck are you dropping him off at a gas station? That's sketchy as fuck.
If he's too drunk to drive home, why? Yeah, like he's obviously too drunk to be dropped off at a public place
Fucking
because like
gas station.
he'll get arrested for public intoxication.
So he starts walking home, calls his wife. It goes to voicemail. On his voicemail, this guy is literally like gurgling. He's like, please, please, please. There's other voices in the background saying something like, they couldn't make it out entirely, but something like, get off, or we told you to stay off this property, blah, blah, blah. Please, please, please. Then the gasping that usually comes with like, you know, the death gasp. And then it goes dead after like 3 minutes of that. Guy goes missing for years. They find him in a ravine and they say that his body has no sign of trauma anywhere.
They found him how long after? Years?
Right.
You
That's
say
what I'm saying.
years?
Yes. So it's
Okay,
like,
so my brain didn't
you
think so
can't-
it's stupid. You said
no,
years.
yes. So it's like the signs of trauma would be probably eaten by fish, I would think. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, when you say there's no signs of trauma, I'm imagining his body's fresh.
Oh
imag-
no,
Yeah.
not fresh. Like he's
Oh.
old. I mean, the body's old. You know what
Okay.
I mean,
Okay, so
So-
it's not like they found him newly dead.
no. And it's like nobody knows what happened to him. And everybody's like, his friend's really suspicious. I agree. Why the fuck you dropping somebody off that drunk at a fucking gas station?
That phone call is really suspicious. Why is he gurgling? What are the voices in the background? Excuse me, what?
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
Was he haunted?
I don't know. Somebody suggested maybe when he was walking home, he went on another person's property. Going on another person's property is not a reason to be tortured.
Even if you're walking home drunk, like even if you're drunk, if you're walking home from a gas station that you're familiar with, because because in theory, okay, let's say the friend's not sus, right? Even though he's sus as fuck. But let's pretend the friend's not sus, right? So we've got a friend who's like, your wife doesn't like it when we hang out together. You're drunk as fuck. I'm just gonna drop you at this gas station that's right down the road from your house, right? Let's just assume it's that kind of a situation. Well, then, like, even if you're drunk as fuck, like, you're pretty familiar with your surroundings enough to get home, one would think. So if you do have beef with somebody, are you going to use being drunk an excuse to wander onto their lawn to test the boundaries? Or is it more likely that you stumbled upon a portal where there were demons and those are the
No,
voices? Like,
seriously.
I'm just
seriously. And
sounding
it is
crazy, but
like,
it sounds more supernatural.
there
like,
are
the
so
super
many.
in the natural.
Oh, I got goosebumps because there are so many stories of like here. I just saw another one that was similar where he crashed his car. He calls his parents. He says, "Mom, Dad, I crashed my car. This is where I'm at. Can you come pick me up?" They said, "Yeah." They go to where he said he was. He's not there. The car's not there. They're flashing their lights. They're still on the phone. He's like, nah, I can't see you. We can't see you either. You flash your lights. I'll flash mine. And they're flashing each other's lights. Nobody can see the lights. So he's like, you know what? It's okay. I see a town, or I see the town. I'm going to walk to the town. As he's walking, all of a sudden he says, oh shit, disappears completely. Completely. And they found his car 20 miles away from where he said he was. I just saw that one today.
See, this
That's
is why
more
I
alien-y to
well,
me.
to me, that's just bizarre
Uh-huh.
and happens all the time that we don't hear about. But like missing 411. Remember earlier when I was talking about the guy that disappeared and then shows up like months or years later,
Right.
and like everybody's like, "Where the fuck you been?" And he's like, "I was right there, like hollering at you while you were looking
Yes,
for me."
it's like
and
that
you
with the
didn't see it.
lights.
Yes, like
So
that's
that
crazy.
one,
Like it's like you somehow your frequency allows you to slip between the veils.
and could that be what the spook light is? Just the little slip between the veils.
What if it is? Like that would be kind of crazy cool. It's just some dude in another dimension taking his dog for a walk and that's his flashlight.
Right? Or it's just somebody. It's
Or
somebody.
it's a time slip. That's why it was seen even before there was electric.
Right? Or it's
hand
like it's
torches.
somebody who's like, hey, I'm over here. Hey, I'm over here. And everybody's like, whoa, what is that light? Oh my God, that would be fucking hell. To sit there and say, hey, I'm here. I'm here.
This is why I stopped being able to watch Missing 411, if I'm being honest. Like exactly
So-
that. So like, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we're close to 30 minutes. This is kind of a shorter
It's
episode.
a shorter one, but
It's a shorter myth.
we thought there'd be more.
Right, right.
And that's how it
So,
goes sometimes.
I'm curious on what you guys think of the spook light. The spook light is not an only phenomenon. There's spook lights all
Everywhere.
over the
That's what I
world.
was gonna say. Like, do you live near a spook light? If so, tell us about it in the comments because we want to know.
Right. What are your thoughts? If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to support us, check us out on Patreon. Patreon.com/witchestalkingtarot. Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Death by DVD.
Hey, Pam.
Hey, Victoria. We appreciate you. And if you want to find us on the X, we're there at Classiest Witches because we are the classiest witches you know.
And we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Witches Talking Tarot.
So thanks for coming to sit with us for a spell. Bye. It was fun to cover a
It was
local
fun.
legend.
Just a bunch of hocus pocus.
I'm Maddie,
I'm Amber. And we're Witches Talking Tarot.
We are the weird optimistic.
Like a song, like a Santa's snubble. Flip the switch and let the cauldron bubble. Sam.
Wow.